One.
Wait, before you
right,
start. So this, if you want to take a look at this real quick.
Bro, why don't you use our shared document?
Because I don't remember it to get here and not look at it.
Like, I don't want to look at your phone. I want to look at this document that's on my phone.
No, it's for the visual of it.
All right, throw it. All right, say less.
Because basically, they have a showcase like upfronts, and like they have one black creator on it, and to me, it's like they probably were like, "Hey, we don't have any black creators. Let's
get
put
this
one."
creator.
You know,
who is it? Kina. How do you say that? Kinagura?
Yeah, I don't know.
Kinagra? That's what you're talking about though. That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's actually pretty cool though. So it's literally like a creator up front almost.
Yeah. So like I think the thing would be like creator fronts, like YouTube's having theirs coming up next week for new fronts.
Yeah.
This one just happened. Are we showcasing black creators
the same
like we should? Yeah.
Yo, it was actually crazy. Bring this up. Yeah. That's kind of like a part of the intro. I actually have like an update from yesterday.
Okay.
Too. So before I forget, let's just jump in. We're live. What's up, everybody? This is Ryan
and Dalmar.
We are back for another episode of Cxmmentary. We had to take a week off. There was travel, things going on.
Yes, sir.
A lot happening. Life was happening last week. I'll just throw it out there. Got proposed. Well, bro, I keep saying I got
proposed.
Yeah, I was like,
crazy.
that was mad wild, bro. I said it like 3 times to someone. They're like, "Are you sure that's what happened?" I was like, "Nah." I proposed, and now engaged. Man, is cool. 7 days in.
Yeah. You feel different, or?
I'll be real with you. Not as much as you would think. I think now it's just like a lot of planning for like future, how we're gonna kind of activate. Said activate. That's crazy too.
Yeah.
Just like how we actually just want to do everything.
Yeah.
So we missed last week, but first and foremost, there's been a lot now to kind of catch up on the last 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Funny enough, this week I was actually out of town. Yesterday was traveling to Cincinnati. It's my first time going to Cincinnati, which was really cool to see just like a different city. But it was specifically to go out there to speak on a panel that Procter & Gamble's media agency was putting together, Kara. And I know we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but the panel was really around the concept of content to commerce. This general idea of like in-game advertising. And so on the panel with me was the CEO of Super League. So, they're doing a bunch of in-game advertising. It was the CEO of Overwolf Ads and what they're doing, and the head of gaming for P&G. So, of course, my role up there was really talking about everything like multicultural creators. And really, before we talk about commerce, we have to talk about building community, right? Because I think there's a huge gap that still needs to be filled. But it's just really interesting. I mean, you were talking about kind of like upfront seasons happening right now. There's now more focus on creator upfronts. A big part of what I was talking about yesterday is literally just that, right? Equity across the multicultural and diverse gaming space. Like all these new money avenues and pipelines are coming to the creator economy in a more structured format. But time and time again, we're not seeing a ton of representation, especially when you talk about the amount of output that diverse creators kind of have within this space. So it was really cool just to like talk about that in front of like a lot of the P&G brands yesterday. I think a lot of it resonates, especially now like the cultural climate. I think it's super dope that a company that large is still invested in HBCUs and ensuring like that equitable opportunities are still kind of like dispersed across the board. But yeah, bro, I know this is a big topic, and it's like I definitely want to hear your input on like, do you feel like Black creators are missing out right now, particularly as these structured programs like upfronts are going on?
Yeah, I mean that's to your point again, just to kick it off, like a company like we were saying is P&G.
Yeah, P&G is like this is that example. Yeah,
right. That a great comparison I've loved seeing recently has been Costco versus Target.
Oh, for sure.
Where Costco has defied kind of the corporate zeitgeist of removing DI programs and has doubled down, right? Has seen traffic increase in their stores, whereas Target has seen a massive decrease in traffic. Now, I don't know if anyone's done a study on is this because of the boycott or because of the removal of DI programs, but they coincide at the same time. So it leads, people to see that like, hey, if you aren't going to represent one of your biggest customer segments, then obviously you're going to feel that later on. So it's cool to see P&G, kind of stepping up to the plate, being there. But yeah, when you're talking about upfronts,
real quick, can you explain what upfronts are for those that may not be familiar?
Yeah, I mean, to my understanding, for the most part, right? Like it's been going on for not hundreds, but dozens of years at this point.
Bro, TVs haven't been around for hundreds of years.
Like, but basically since like, advertisers really have come to TV, showcasing their programs for later in the year, but getting in front of, as it would, make sense, in front of advertisers beforehand. So saying, hey, we have, NCIS coming out, we have this coming out, right? Like, where do you want your ad dollars to go, right? And so as this new media landscape is evolving, creators are becoming a big part of that, right? So YouTube, different talent firms, investment firms are doing more of these showcases. And so I believe that next week, we're going to have a YouTube upfront, essentially called the Brandcast. We had the Spotter showcased pretty recently as well. And again, like from a larger macro standpoint, great that we're seeing, creators being highlighted and advertisers seeing, hey, like, we should be here, the Pepsis, those, Mondelays of the world. But, the question I'd pose is like, are we as a whole for the creator economy putting at the forefront these multicultural creators that, again, are a huge part of the buying demographic of this country, right?
So with the one with Spotter, is how is their demographic structured?
So
from what you can tell, like
to my understanding, like they've got some great creators up there. They've got Ryan Trahan, I believe. A few others, Colin Samir, who do the Publish Press. They've worked with tons of creators, interviewed tons of creators. But when it comes to Black creators, there's not much to be seen, which is very unfortunate. Again, shout out to them for like having this thing as their first annual showcase. But at the end of the day, like not seeing Black and brown creators up there, especially when you have this explosion recently of Black creators, Black and brown creators on, platforms like Twitch, right? Like, how are we not having them up front at these upfronts? Yeah,
and then I guess just to put into perspective the answer that you gave to like what is an upfront earlier, to kind of contextualize it, right? These brands, they could have anywhere from 25 to $500 million in advertising that they're going to commit to over a year. So it's also fair to say, again, that there's major financial and economic loss with not having the participation of some of these creators. It is really interesting, too. I think a brand like YouTube, though, to your point, I'm really interested now to see kind of like what they present in their brand cast coming up in the next few weeks. But definitely say, like, as a platform versus a brand, right? As a brand, they're invested in like DreamCon, right? They show up very heavily last year at DreamCon. For what I know, I'm pretty sure they may be showing up again this year. I'm not sure how that's going to look, but it's like that intentionality of, and I think what's really unique about YouTube is that they actually have diverse representation in the actual corporate structure that's calling these things out, right? Like, hey, DreamCon's happening. Why aren't we showing up? We need to show up. And not only that, we need to amplify and ensure that these creators in the space, your RDC worlds, kind of just to name the founders of it, they deserve as much equity as kind of like what's being invested across the board. So it is interesting, man. But when I started to learn about just this whole upfront structure and cycle, and one, it's a very vigorous process to even be invited, but that all comes down to not only how good your content is, but who is your manager? Who is your agent? Are you putting out brand safe content to begin with? I think that was something we've talked about historically. It's like a lot of minority creators don't understand the significance of playing in that. Bro, I was just at a panel yesterday, like we can't use the word authentic.
Right? Yeah.
Playing in that true self space, but also understanding the fine line of how you're being evaluated for things like the upfront, right? So not saying that that's ever a hindrance of why we're not showing up, but just a consideration that always needs to be taken in mind is like we're being judged almost like 3 times over again.
100%.
So I think it was really cool this week. I mean, especially as we talk about creators, something that stood out to me, I would say that just happened kind of like in the media entertainment ecosystem was Met Gala, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was dope. One, Kai's presence, like he's streaming it. He's giving people a very unique perspective that they've probably never seen of the event before.
Right.
The celebrities, if my boy bring Future to Twitch, that's going to be crazy. Did you hear about
that? Yeah, no, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, so like it was funny. There's a clip of, so Kai and Future meet each other. Kai's cameraman kind of like tries to put the camera on Future. Future man's like, nah. And then Kai literally says like, nah, bro, he's not going to record you, but you can hear the audio. And the plan is to try and get Future on Kai's stream in the near future, bro.
That's
funny
crazy.
enough. Future in the near future.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be probably Kai's biggest stream, I think.
That's what I said.
date.
It would be, because I was like, I think that's where you really start talking about like multi-generational. Like, I think Future and like the Kevin Hart play as well examples, but
Right.
both have different cultural weight and significance kind of like to their respective peers. But what was really interesting though about the Met Gala was not just, again, Kai's integration and how they're continuously positioning him to really showcase the power of content creators. It was more so around the fact that this year was around Black expression and Black creativity was the core theme. And it was the record-breaking year for donations to the actual Met itself. I believe they did $31 million. And the previous record was actually last year, which was either 24 to 26 million-ish. So I think that's kind of like the double entendre. I'm like, yo, not only is there this explosion of new creators and creativity, but also when it's invested in a core topic of these major tentpole moments is also driving larger economic gain.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Especially in a world in which we have today, again, like where a lot of companies are drawing back their DEI programs, taking the word Black, out of different things, or, not promoting the Tuskegee Airmen, right? Some like crazy level stuff, right? But if you double down on it, right, and set yourself apart as, especially something, in the arts, right? Like, Black culture, Black and brown culture, like that has had a huge impact on, especially the American arts. And so if you are going to support that, promote it, then you will see, these, higher economic value. And honestly, that's the name of the game at the end of the day. So
yeah, bro, I never paid attention. I never really knew what the Met was. I see the pictures every year, but I never really knew the purpose. But this is the first year, like, I actually wanted to like learn more about the program, just what it is holistically. I'll be real, I still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
From what I can tell, it's like a bunch of fashion designers identify influencers that they make like custom clothes for. But like, I didn't recognize that it was actually a charity until like this year.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's what I suspected it was. It was like, this person was wearing this. There was the whole controversy with one of the Blackpink members with Blackpink, the K-pop group. She had, on her underwear, they said they had Rosa Parks. Apparently it's not even Rosa Parks. It's the designer's neighbor that's on it. Like, I don't know. Like, there was so many TikToks I saw about it. And I was like, there's no way she would have Rosa Parks down there. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why would the designer put Rosa Parks there?
Well, I mean, it's Black expression and freedom.
That's true. But like, why would he, like, he's not gonna put Rosa Parks in the place that it was,
I got you. I don't know the positioning of it, but I was like, the figure kind of makes sense for the theme. Yeah. I'm about to look into this now.
It was just very
like, so was it or was it not Rosa Parks?
From an interview with him, it is not Rosa Parks.
Yeah, it's definitely Rosa Parks. My boy lying.
I mean, maybe he is. He's covering up.
The fact that people are asking now, my boy's switching up.
Right. But at the end of the day, like, that was a big thing that I saw was like, all right, these designers are kind of showcasing their, creations and their brands through this gala event, right? But obviously it's a charity as well.
Right. Nah, so it was cool just to like tap into that. I'm trying to think, bro, what else happened this week kind of like in our space? I saw something crazy. I was actually heartbroken by it.
What's up? What happened?
Bro, you saw Xbox is raising their prices this fall.
Yeah, I saw some, but I know that Nintendo is raising theirs to 80.
Yeah,
we're going to have some increased prices from different tiers and things on the Switch 2. But, I have like mixed feelings about it. Like, the video game in disc format has been the same price for a very long time, right?
Yeah, kind of like maybe like 10 years. Because at one point it was $49.99.
Yeah.
And then we accepted $59.99.
Right.
And Deluxes were like $69. But now retail is like $79.
Right. And so on one standpoint, it's like, prices are going up. But at least for me, like, I think as we said before, I would accept it from Grand Theft Auto, right? Like, you need to give me like a generational experience. Like Mario Kart being 80. I'm like, this is the game that comes with the console. Like, why is it $80? So yeah, but it sounds like Xbox is doing the same thing.
Yeah, Xbox is doing the same thing with their games and with their consoles. So console's gonna be like extra $100 kind of going into the holiday. By the grace of God, shout out to Xbox.
Yeah.
Been had mine like 5 years, still going strong.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this. When is the last time that you bought a physical game copy?
It's been a minute. And it's been a minute for me because I played mostly PC
Got you.
for the past 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was playing PlayStation more, I'd probably buy. I'd still probably buy some physical games because I do like having it like in a library and being able to hold the game. Because you know, I don't want a situation where, you know, we're removing this game from our archive. So even though you purchased it, you can't access it anymore, right? And so that's one thing I'm worried about in terms of buying digital copies. But I understand that it's less and less of a thing of people buying physical copies of games.
I was just thinking about it. I was like, dude, when's the last time I went to GameStop to buy a game? It was probably Battlefield 5. And that's like 2020, 2021-ish.
Right.
And I was really thinking about, you know, that entire experience shifted for me. And I don't know why. At first, I know exactly what it was. It was the fact that even if you still bought the physical game, you still had to install it on your console.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, well, that 30-minute to and from GameStop no longer makes sense. And I'll be real with you, I never understood that anymore. Why you just couldn't buy the game, put it in, and run it. Like, why you still had to download it. And then the crazy thing is, the game don't work if it's not in the console, if you had the physical copy.
Yeah. I feel like there's got to be a certain amount of games probably on the CD. There's probably so much they can fit on there. And then it's like, oh, we got to download the rest from the cloud. Right.
That's a good point. It's like the foundation of the game, right? It's probably on the disc, and then everything else, DLC, all things included. Yeah. But I think that was a big part of why I just stopped. And like now all I do is just buy my game straight off like Xbox Store.
Yeah. The one thing for me, and I don't know the policies when it comes to Xbox Store and the PlayStation Store, but there was one game I bought and it completely stopped me from buying new games ever again. I think it was like Dragon Ball Z. I forget which one. It was like after the Budokai games, but it was like the worst game I ever played in my life. And I was like, I can't return it because I bought it new.
Okay.
Right. And so I was like, I'm always going to buy used from now on because as long as it's within 7 days, I can go back to GameStop and return it. I know on Steam, it's 2 hours from playing a game. But like a lot of times, like, you know, like the game sucks within 2 hours.
Yeah. Or at least if you like it enough or not.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know if it's the same thing on Xbox and PlayStation, but to me, that's probably a big thing too, is like, can I return this game if I buy it digital?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and I want to return it if it's trash.
I want to return it.
If the game is trash, like I don't want to play it anymore. You know, I want money back.
No, that part. I think that part of like the chain is gone. I think once you got it, it's yours.
Okay, well then I'm going to game. Like I'll be the one person in GameStop buying it physical.
Yeah, no, I mean people still going to the store for sure. It's just I was just thinking about it the other day. I was like, I just haven't done it in a really, really long time. It's more like accessory driven now. Like, yo, if I need a controller or like a mic or something different, I go in. But for the actual experience, nah. It's been a little while.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously, like the behaviors of gamers are shifting. You know, like thinking about this new GTA coming out. Like the last time I was sitting outside GameStop. You know, before it came out, like 2013.
I was in Huntsville, did the same thing.
Yeah, you know, I was in Tucson, Arizona. You know, like my roommate was trying to buy it. I was like, I'll go with you. You know, and like we were chilling there, bought it, came back, rolled up, and then started playing. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, no, I remember I got it, but it was the middle of the school year, and I was on the basketball team. So shout out to my dog Christian, my roommate. He went through like he was just playing the game and beating it. I remember the day like we actually got through the entire game, but he probably played like 85% of that entire story. Yeah. Let me ask you this: do you feel gaslit with the new update on the timeline?
Gaslit? Oh, in terms of the when it's releasing?
Yeah.
I mean, not really, because I think to prevent gaslighting, you just have to know that they are going to gaslight you.
They are the key to gaslighting.
They can't gaslight me if I know it's coming, you know? So I already knew that it was going to be like the next trailer they're going to say, like, we're delaying it.
To not be gaslighted, you have to be gaslit.
Yeah, you have to gaslight yourself already.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So, yeah, I mean, I expected they would change the date. I expected they were going to change it again, you know? Like, but at least what it looks like, looks cool. I'm hoping there's not just two characters that are playable. I hope it's more. But it's intriguing they're doing this like couple kind of character standpoint. And yeah, I mean it's gonna be I think like a generational moment in gaming.
This I was like the level itself looks huge just from like
Yeah.
the screenshots that came out, kind of like the 4 different parts of the map, like the map that make up everything. But I was like, to your point, bro, I'll be real with you. Like, I like Grand Theft Auto. It's not something like when it comes out, I'm definitely going to play, be
Yeah.
a part of the community. I'm patiently waiting.
Yeah.
Right, bro. I know there's a lot of people that are fuming.
Right.
Bro. There's actually like probably an entire community that
Yeah.
was not prepared to be gaslit.
Yeah, they're probably playing I mean, like, you know, think about like Kai, right? Like, you know, is he gonna do a, you know, whole house setup with the backdrops and everything?
Has to.
You know, and like literally every like people playing League of Legends, people were playing Stardew Valley, people were playing, you know, any game under the sun. Like on Twitch, I expect that it'll be Game of Thrones #1, Just Chatting #2 for like the first time ever. And like every other game, like with 10K viewers max, and literally every community of gamer playing Grand Theft Auto.
It's gonna be big, bro. Like you talk about Kai, I be thinking about what is like T Grizzly planning and like what are they going to do? Because and you talked about gamer behaviors. I see GTA 6 is going to shift a lot of gamer behaviors. I think one, you're going to see an explosion of new content creators are going to come out of this. The content creators that are going to be able to link like their servers to real-time skits that they put on social media and like Reels and TikTok. Have you followed, I don't know their exact name, but it's like these 2 twin brothers that always do like GTA reenactments. They actually live here in LA.
No.
And like they'll like literally walk around like Santa Monica Pier, like operating like a GTA like NPC kind of thing.
Okay.
And I was like, it's gonna be that connection between real life and social and the actual revenue generation in game.
Yeah.
I think that's going to change a lot of behaviors. I think the thing I'm interested in, because you see it all the time on like the tabloids of social media,
Right.
like, are they going to bring in cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That'd be wild.
Bro, if GTA kind of released its own coin, I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm 100% investing into that. Because that coin is going to do extremely well in a short period of time.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But yeah, what's interesting, I think to your point, like the thing about the IRL aspect of it too, like, you know, this isn't the best brand necessarily, but like think about like Abbott. Have you been to Abbott Kinney?
I've been there one time for brunch.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember, but you can tell me about it. I can visually see it. I just don't know much about it.
Yeah, fair. Well, for the viewers, Abbott Kinney is a Venice, you know, kind of boulevard that has a lot of shops that people go to, and you know, obviously based in Los Angeles, you know, it's GTA 5. To me, it's like if a store had a pop up that's GTA themed, so it's like Brooks Running, right? And they have a GTA shoe, right? Everybody's gonna be at that store to get that shoe, right? And hopefully have the same thing in the game as well. Like I think the biggest thing that I've seen recently is almost every kind of anime based game having some sort of boba tea pop up. So League of Legends had it for Arcane.
Okay.
I know Valorant had it at another boba shop. I saw another one for this other like anime thing that's like based in Japan. I want to say something with Michael B. Jordan had a boba tea shop thing going on.
Okay.
Like, so like seeing other games doing this like IRL, like, hey, you come to our shop, you'll get this experience, you get this drink, right? How does GTA like do that, right? And you have so many more cultural, I think, IRL spaces that could house some sort of GTA experience.
You know,
Right.
And I 100% know that you're correct, because even I think going back to like last September, we were doing some work with Nike and their Dot Swoosh, like their digital goods team.
Right.
So this was around the release of Tekken 8. So in Tekken 8, there were also some special edition foam posits. Like the Tekken 8 foam posits came out. So at Soul Play in Atlanta, there was the release day of the foams was at Soul Play, simultaneously having a Tekken tournament on site as well. So it was like the winner got a pair of the shoes. Regular consumers there could purchase the shoes, and then everybody fighting in the tournament and they wearing the shoes in the game. Right. And I think that model is going to continue to develop and mature over time. I think a brand like Nike has a super easy in because there's footwear, like literally in every video game. Most characters have on some type of sneak. And I'm like, yo, so it's really cool to start to see this emergence of brands crossing over into the digital. But how do you but I feel like a brand like Nike actually can monetize in reality because it's the physical product as well. So I was like, yo, they're just like in a really, really, really unique position compared to some of the other brands that I think you actually have to put a lot more thought into figuring out, one, how does my brand integrate here? What is the messaging? If there's an experience, what does that look like? And if there's something in game, like how do I make it more distinguished and more unique than just having like a brand logo or like a video ad run on a billboard in Tilted Towers?
Yeah, 100%. Right. And, you know, obviously there's, you know, especially since GTA is so almost like one-to-one to the place that it's at, right? You know, anything that you would see in real life, you know, obviously could be in the game. So obviously there's the cars. You know, I think back to one of the more recent Star Wars movies that had, I think Porsche built a starfighter for Star Wars. Okay. Where they you know, concepted one, right? And it was in one of the movies as like this, like, you know, someone who's rich in the movie had this ship, right? And so obviously you can do the same thing in a space like GTA. Yeah, so I mean, I think there's, you know, like a breadth of like opportunity, you know, that like a game like GTA can do.
Yo, it's interesting. Yo, it's crazy to think about. Like GTA could do what Meta was trying to do during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. Like this whole idea, or not even just Meta, but like everyone that was like playing around in the metaverse and like NFTs. And I think a better example was like, dude, what's the monkey Bored Ape Yacht Club? Right.
Yep.
Because it's this idea of creating games with digital goods. But I was like, yo, imagine GTA is like was always, now that like we fast forwarded, I was like, yo, this game probably was always along. I would give it to The Sims as well. Right. These are like the best environments of like user adaptability and adoption of cryptocurrencies and digital goods, or like maybe earmarking something in the local retail in the game and then like physically going to pick it up at the store. I think that's what we were talking about yesterday when we were in Procter and Gamble. I said we were in Procter. When we were in Cincinnati, like on the panel, some of the other panelists gave like really great examples of like this concept of, you know how you do like digital orders online, like why can't online ordering start in games where there's retail connection?
Yeah.
Right. So like you can get your Olay soap, you can get, you know, Dove, you can get Snickers bars in the local, and then like you literally could either you could physically go get it yourself, or if there's further integration, like a DoorDash or Uber Eats could like bring it to your crib. But it's like the same online checkout process that would go through the app. You just do it in game.
That'd be incredible.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. We giving away too many like trade secrets.
These are gems right here.
Yeah, I'm like, this is actually, I'm like, this is where my brain is though. Like how we talk about bringing this together, like not to completely switch topics, because I meant to talk about this. We were talking about streamers a little bit earlier. Yeah. So DDG he's one of the ones right now, right? Yeah. One of the ones. It was really interesting. There was a viral clip I saw like 2 days ago. He dropped his album.
Okay.
First week.
I've seen that he was doing with like Wiz. He had in there. Like,
he had a whole bunch of features. Yeah. And mind you, I know record sales now is a lot different than what it meant historically, but you see it all the time. Right. Kanye sold 20,000. This person sold 70, however many. Right. So first week for DDG is 400. 400
total. Oh, okay. I mean,
and his goal is 20,000. And so like, again, he's talking about it in the clip, right? Yeah. That's what I was like, one, the transparency there is crazy. Right. But I was like, yo, it was interesting. You would think, and again, I don't even know how they measure like records sold in today's age versus just like, of course, streams is streams, but records sold is still a metric we have to pay attention to. Right. But I was like, it's just interesting to see like the behavior now. I think because there's two things, and I'm like kind of rambling. I'm trying to put this together in my head in real time. So like, there's two things to it. There's all these random numbers of people watching a creator on Twitch, right? One thing I think everyone's talking about is the audience behaviors of content creators themselves, but I don't think we know enough of audience behavior of people that watch people stream online. Right. Because one would think that if someone's pulling 40,000 people a day to watch a stream, 400 seems improbable. Right. So like, what is the actual fandom of this like content creator world? What is the actual paid boost that come on platforms? Like, because the translation isn't there, but then on the flip side, you see someone like a Kai get 6 million signups for Streamer University in a single night. Right. So like, I'm trying to understand this dichotomy of balance, but it's just really interesting when he was saying like, yo, my first week I did 400 sales.
That's tough. 400. I thought I mean, obviously it wasn't gonna be 400,000, but I was like, there's
That's
no way.
crazy. That would be crazy numbers, bro. Like my boy would be doing like Michael Jackson numbers.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. But I mean, I feel like there's a few things going on. I think number one, seeing the people he had on stream. He had what? Tyga, Wiz, Bia, like these are bad artists, but they're not necessarily in the current zeitgeist of, let's say, pop culture, right? We're talking about like, kind of like pop rap these
they're like
days.
on the fringes.
Right. Like if Drake is probably still to me the tip top, Drake and Cardi, pop rap, right? Of like rap, hip hop in its most like pop form. Wiz used to be up there. Tyga was up there for a bit. Beats had a couple features on songs. She had, I think, one song that was up there. These people aren't like really touching what's going on and like creating any hype within themselves, right? And then thinking about like paying for features, like were these like relationships that jumped on the song, or were these like paid features? So like, did they just do the feature because they got paid for it? Now, depending on that, is their label also going to push the song? What label's DDG on, right? Even going to Drake's, lawsuit with UMG right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like how much, it's obviously like very impactful to have a label put marketing dollars behind you. If that's not happening, is anybody caring, right? And then to your point, going to, you may have all these viewers, like what is their actual like fandom level to you?
Like what is the actual affinity?
Yeah, because like, there's creators nowadays, not to jump to something else, but like they're building almost like Netflix style, not apps, but like, spaces through Vimeo, which is pretty cool. But it's like College Dropout, that network that used the funny network, I think it's called Charles Dropout. Or
I don't know, bro.
College Humor.
I got you. Like, so talking about like on Instagram, like social. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. And the Sidemen, they've built those things, but these guys they've been at it for a long time,
bro.
They've got multiple creators that are in this group, right? And I think groups maybe inherently drive like a lot more like brand, or not brand affinity, I guess affinity through fans. So like DDG, he's not gonna make his own Netflix. No one's gonna care that much, right? So like obviously it doesn't seem like he has that pull within his audience, right? And then again, like it's not like he had Kendrick or Drake or J. Cole or even ASAP, right, on this song or any of the songs he had, right? So, and then on top of it all, like, are the songs actually viral?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. I may actually stream it on the way. Bro, let's listen to a song or two on the way.
We'll check it out.
On the way out of here, listen to a song or two.
Yeah.
Because it was all, okay, so that's cool. So DDG happened.
Yeah.
The same week. This past week on the 5th, I think it was. I would have went had I known before, but Black Boy did his first show downtown LA at the Novu. Look 100% sold out from what I can see in the videos.
Yeah.
So I think, again, not to compare the two, but I think it's interesting. You're starting to see kind of like this connection of, again, virtual to IRL. Yeah. And how fans are showing up again. I couldn't tell you if the songs are good or not, but I could tell you that everyone there was having a good time. They was reacting. And you could see, you could feel like real energy. You could feel that like they liked him being on stage.
Right.
And I think that was really important. And I know he had, to your point, it's so funny you said kind of like, I'm going to say something else after this too, so I hope I don't forget. But it's that connection between not just hip hop and rap, but also pop culture. Because I was talking to Chris about this, bro, this past week. It's really interesting. When you look at like Black-owned music festivals that are kind of like in that hip hop R&B category, versus non-Black owned festivals in the same category, and the type of talent they book as their headliners. Right. So in the non-diverse space, your non-diverse owned festivals, right? Summer Smash, Rolling Loud. You have like literally Young Thugs doing Summer Smash this year. I'm like, that's crazy. Wow. But then you'll have Travis, you'll have Playboy Cardi, Ken Carson's. And I look on the other side and it's like those bookings don't happen. And I'm like, there is this really interesting segmentation even within Black culture that I think we got to figure out, bro, because 100%. It makes no sense to me that non-diverse owned are getting the larger Black talent that reach both sides of the coin. And I don't want to say the word like but it appears as if like we're only booking artists that talk to black people
Right.
versus artists that are black that may talk to a larger audience than just a black audience.
Right.
I was really just thinking about that the other week, bro. Like, but it's funny because the only reason I think about that is like going back to Black Boy, he has those hip hop pop culture crossover. So like he has like not the headliners or the second headliners,
Right.
but like the third or fourth line guys at like Rolling Loud.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Right.
Laser Dim 17 or 1900 or like 1900 Rugrat. And I'm like, yo, I don't necessarily know if their music is good or bad, but what I do know is that they're in the cultural zeitgeist right now of who's
Right.
being talked about as kind of like the next up hip hop artist.
Right.
So I just see that alignment with Black Boy versus to your point, like the DDG is still has big names, but
Right.
they're not attached to the cultural heartbeat of what's happening right now.
100%. Yeah, no, I think you're spot on with both those things. Like, I think number one, it's probably good that you said it was a Novo.
I think so. It was down DTLA.
Yeah.
But I think it was the Novo.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think a big thing is obviously, and you would know this, like tailoring the space to the artist. Like
Right.
you want to, basically you want to sell out, right? But not sell out by, you don't make it too small, right? You want to sell out where you just sell out probably or at least add another show, right? And you don't want the situation of you got someplace too big and you don't sell out.
Correct.
Right? Where I think you had like Little Baby had the issue where he had to cancel a tour because no one was buying tickets, right? And let me take a step back. It's not as if no one's buying tickets, but less people were buying tickets than they expected for the venues, right?
Yeah, you're talking about arenas, bro. Like,
Right.
Those are you need 20,000 people per city,
Right.
buying tickets to almost make financial
Exactly.
sense.
Right. So if you scale it down to the artists, you make it more intimate spot, you can have a very successful, no matter what level, right, of a performance. And then on top of that, like I think it is intriguing because like, even like a Kendrick Lamar, I think that, obviously he's kind of leapfrogged into like the biggest point of the zeitgeist in terms of hip hop. And I would see him like in 2021 at 6 different festivals. I swear to you, I saw the same lineup of Kendrick Lamar, an EDM act like Odessa, and then like a rock act like the Killers. Every single one, and it was always Kendrick Lamar. And it was like, oh, he is the rapper that has probably the most widespread appeal.
Right.
Right. It's not controversial. Right. And so like he's the one who's picked. And then you have the EDM and rock acts as well. But then I wouldn't necessarily see Kendrick Lamar at any like, say, black-owned festivals, right? And you would expect that his music and his message has that, more of a connection with a black audience. But for whatever reason, I'm seeing him in all the Lollapalooza, the Bonnaroo, the Austin City Limits, right? And these are like, you've been to Austin, it's not a verse city at all, right? So it's intriguing like how that and why that happens.
Yeah, my gut tells me it may be something around costs. Maybe, I don't know, right? Like when you talk about these Bonnaroos and these are massive and like well funded. I'm not saying that the other ones aren't, but I was like, scale is scale at the end of the day. So like I don't know what that looks like, but it is something that I'll always notice. Like going to Complex Con, you have Travis, Don Tolliver, and you will see people like Don, right, do black festivals all the time. Like, but it seems to be like the second or third in the group, and not like the Cardis or the Travises of the world. And it is, to be fair, I do also to give, as we talk through this, I'm thinking about it in real time, it does bring a different flavor to a black-owned festival by having certain artists, right? So maybe that's also the consideration is like, we don't want this thing to become like Open the Pit vibes, but and I was like, maybe that's what it is. But like, it's interesting, bro. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. I'm actually really. There's probably like I was thinking about this. There's 365 in a year, days in a year, right? 25 of those days, I'm like probably ecstatic. Like, I'm not saying the other days are bad, but just like ecstatic. Today's one of those days. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay,
bro, I've been waiting patiently for like 6 months for Denzel Curry to come to LA. Today's the day.
Oh yeah.
Denzel is one of the artists that I think is on this list of people that we're talking about, right? He's finding his way now in the cultural zeitgeist, but from South Florida, dreads, black as you can get, right? As far as talk about air quote stereotypes.
Yeah.
But my introduction to him outside of just hearing songs throughout the years was he was the opener, or like the co-headline opener, I guess technically, for Suicide Boys on their Grade A tour.
Yeah.
What I think is really interesting about Suicide Boys in Grade A in 2024, it was the third highest grossing hip hop tour last year.
Wow. That's
Third highest grossing hip hop tour. I think the only one above him, it was Nicki Minaj, and I can't remember who was number one. But everyone else you could think of was below them as far as just like hip hop category.
right.
But for me, now seeing him on this platform is interesting. Now, 6 months after that tour ended, he's now announcing his own solo 26, 30 city tour that is concluding today.
Right.
So now, like when I'm thinking about the events that we do, I'm not gonna hold you, bro. I'm going for the artists we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Because I've always felt that it's weird to say like they're excluded, because I don't think that's the right word.
Right.
But I felt like they never had a place in a Black-owned environment that was focused on a not 100% Black-owned community,
Right.
where they would have the chance to do the thing that they did.
Right.
And I was like, I want.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, like, perspective, because I think, if you think about as their audience becomes more widespread, then if that audience then sees that this person's at, whatever other festival, right? Do they start to, change the demographics of that festival, right? Where it's, you have more, or actually less Black people getting tickets to
One Music Fest, as an example.
Because Travis Scott is there.
And that's what I'm saying. Is like, that's what I'm like, because they literally bring a different crowd, and it goes from a typical festival where Black people's chilling, bro. They hanging out with their friends, they vibing out, to Open the Pit. I'm like, those things happen in different in different worlds.
Right.
But I was like, I think they're, especially now as you're seeing more things like a community, a Trap Sushi, an RDC World, you're gonna start. I said the RDC World, DreamCon, right? You're gonna start seeing these artists be the headliners of these festivals that do have diverse fans and like diverse consumers, for lack of better words. So, bro, I wanted to. It was interesting. I wanted to get your opinion on that, because it was just something I started to physically observe. Like, why are these artists showing up here but not here? But they look like us. That is like the foundational question.
Right. And the other side of it too, I would think, is probably a lot more systemic, of the fact that most of the big festivals are owned by the same two companies.
Oh, for sure.
And those same companies also own the venues. And those same companies also own the ticketing service. And those same companies also route tours. So they're going to route the tours to their venues using their ticket program for their artists. And I think this is actually something that Congress needs to address, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The artists are in on it. Like, I know that, there was a whole thing with Taylor Swift, when her tour came around, people couldn't afford tickets. It was like, hey, I mean, she's actually in on this thing. Like, it's, they can set it so the costs are lower. But at the end of the day, that should not be a company should not be that vertically integrated, and also, I guess, horizontally integrated, that I can say, hey, because I own Coachella, I'm going to book this artist for Coachella. And like, normally there'd be an exclusivity deal for like 3 months around it. You cannot perform at any of the states around Coachella. But yet, because I own the venue, I'm going to give you the exception to perform here. But Live Nation is not going to be able to get you to perform at any of their places, right? And so that is just not a great setup.
Yeah, and you were talking about like Lil Baby had to cancel his tour last year. So he announced it a few months ago. He's doing it this year. But this year it's featuring like NLE Choppa and Big X. And I would say like Big X and NLE, they're in a part of that cultural conversation. So I'm actually planning to go to that one in LA. And there was another one, bro. You had said it. It was, I think it's interesting. So The Weeknd announced his tour, right? And the opener is Playboi Carti. I was like, yo, that tour's gonna be massive.
Yeah,
bro.
Playboi Carti is an opener as well.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so I was like, The Weeknd's fan, and I was like, I started to see the correlation, because I was like, The Weeknd, he crossed over as well, right? He has an international audience. So it was just really cool to see that. Bro, this is gonna be so left field.
Yeah.
Would you ever go to a sperm race?
So I've seen
You've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen only thing I've seen is like a graphic, an ad for it, where the dudes have like gloves on and stuff, and they're like holding like a bottle or something. And the only reason I'm saying no, so I also wouldn't go to any of these YouTuber boxing events, because I'm like, they're not good at boxing. Like, I'm not trying to sit here. Like, it's almost like going to like baseball, where I'm going for the experience.
Right.
And like this, I'd be going for the experience, but I don't like the experience, so I'm not going.
But you don't know the experience.
But I can see it. I can see it like when I'm watching
No,
Agent.
that's the sport.
Oh, I'm saying like I'm watching Agent stream of YouTube boxing, and I'm like, I'm not going there. You know?
You're watching a stream of a stream.
Yeah,
Just watch
essentially.
like just watch this.
But you know, you got to get the co-stream. Like, you know, co-stream is the wave. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I think it's like I think there's a lot of people who want to be the next. What was a dude's name who used to do all the boxing events?
Bro, you know how to, we talked about this. I don't know anything, bro.
There was
When
like,
I'm around you, I realize like you just know so many words and names and things.
well, it was like dude from the 70s and the 80s.
I definitely
He
don't
has
know
like
his
the
name.
hair, you know, like
Let's go.
Don King.
There you go.
Yeah,
So like I know the name. I did, like in context of like yo the guy. I'm like
yeah,
Don. Got
yeah,
you.
yeah. So I think everyone's trying to be Don King and like trying to come up with their thing that's gonna be
Right.
boxing, or they're doing boxing, right? And they're not really. They're not passionate about the space. You know, they're not really trying to like, bring up boxers. They're just trying to like find some sort of like lucrative. We know that if you do pay-per-view, right, and you're making millions, right, from these boxing events, we could do the same thing, but with YouTube boxers, right?
Right.
Shout out Matt Hofar, who actually is, you know, working on boxing.
Oh, you know Matt?
Yeah.
How you know Matt?
From when we were here in LA for the Super
Oh
Bowl.
yeah, bro. That's the guy, bro.
Yeah, but actually working on,
He's actually doing it. He's been
Yeah.
doing it. He's been in the trenches
Yeah.
for like 5-6 years now.
Exactly, yeah. But these other guys like building, and I mean, I don't hate on it. It's like, it's still, you know, like Jake actually is a good boxer.
Yeah.
You know?
Not terrible.
But to me, it's the same sphere of like, all right, what else can we do that is a trendy viral event? Like, oh, what if we could raise sperm?
Yo,
you know?
so like for context, yeah, because I realized it was just a crazy conversation topic.
Yeah.
So a few months ago now, there's a startup here in Los Angeles, a couple college kids. I don't actually know the name of the company, but the concept of the company is around sperm raising. So how they raise the money, apparently this kid is, they actually have some other companies they've started together. And they said, and I read the interview, they said that they were meeting with one of their investors or mentors, whoever. He's like, yo, what's the craziest thing that like you would want to bring to life? And this was the idea, was like guys racing sperm. And so the actual method or a methodology behind it is that there's a strong link of physical health and like wellness to like how active and how fast your sperm swim.
Right.
So the idea is that these actually just aren't like random people. These are like either athletes or people that are constantly training. And so like they're competing. So the first event just happened like 2 weeks ago. And it was downtown LA. I can't remember the name of the venue, but the first matchup was a student from UCLA versus USC. And I was like, it's one of the things that, will it hit? Who knows? But it's one of the ideas, like, I'm like, yo, when you tell the whole story, it kind of makes sense. The concept is just absolutely crazy.
Right.
Right. When it links to like training and wellness and eating. But the point is, I think they raised like 1.25.
Yeah.
1.25 million just to
you
get
know.
this idea off the ground. And it's really around creating a spectacle or spectator sport.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it across the board, like in-car jiu-jitsu, the
Right.
slap boxing championship. Like,
Yeah.
like all these things are just starting to come up, but it's just due to virality and driving clips. I was like, on social, I like it's doing well.
Yeah. And yeah, maybe the better comparison is everyone trying to be Dana White, you know, crazy
That's a better, yeah.
UFC.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm like, the concept, like,
So you wouldn't pull up?
I mean, I go to one.
That's what I'm saying. Because, yeah, you don't know if they may have fun activations outside. They may have good food.
Yeah.
Like, you just don't know what the experience. Like, we
Yeah,
know what
true.
the sport is.
Yeah.
But, like, we don't know what the camaraderie around it is. I personally don't think I would like it, but I'm going to go check it out just to say,
Yeah.
like, it's a thing. It's in your local city. Why not go see what's going on?
That's fair. I mean, you know, as Ted Lasso said, you got to be a curious observer. And so I'm down to be curious.
That's all
I'm
you
down to
gotta
be
do.
curious.
I'm not saying we have to be fans. We don't got to
Yeah.
get jerseys. We just
Yeah,
gotta,
I'm not getting the jersey off somebody who like, I'm supporting the team.
yo,
off.
that's mad glaze, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the epitome of glaze right there.
like absolutely the epitome, bro. I guess. But man, it's been a lot going on. I would say this is now also for me like week 3 of fully being in LA.
What do you think about it?
It's cool, bro. I've always, and the thing is, like, I've always been here, right? Been here enough that we've been doing the show even before I lived here. But I think now just knowing that I don't have an apartment in Atlanta, like knowing that different. My stuff's in storage and there's no real going back. I like it, man. It's been a change of speed. The biggest thing for me, it was 2023, 2024 was actually just crazy. Personally, professionally, there was a lot that was going on.
Right.
I would definitely say there was way more downs than ups. And I started to ask myself towards the end of last year, like, why am I even doing this, bro? Like, I couldn't figure out what am I supposed to do when I wake up in the morning? Like, everything just became so cluttered. And recently I've been getting back to like my reading and like, I love the idea of stoicism. I've been following like a lot of like stoic pages, and this recurring post quote kept coming up, and it essentially was like, learn to fall in love with the hand that fate deals you. And that's been like humming in my head now for like a few months. And I'm not gonna hold you, bro, with the transition out here from Atlanta to LA, the proposal, the things that went wrong that still need to be correct. Some things still need to be corrected, but there's a lot of things that are happening correctly. I started to like remember my why, which has been like really like re-energizing. But I think it has a lot to do with like switching my scenery and being in a more still position. And I was like, oftentimes I talk to now a lot of entrepreneurs and inspiring gaming execs, et cetera, just, you know, my version of mentorship or whatever we can do to give back. And I'm like, I think that's something I constantly am now reminding people of is, if you want to start, know why, because there's significantly harder times than better times.
Right.
And like, if you don't have that grounding, if you don't remember, here's the actual thing that wakes me up in the morning, it excites me. Right. It's going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
So like, I was actually curious, like, why did you want to be in the gaming? Well, not even gaming, but just like this gaming media space. I meant to ask you that honestly, like on episode 1, but we never talked about it.
That's a great question. If I can bring it back to one thing, it would be that when I was a kid, if you asked me what job I wanted, it was president, because I couldn't think of anything higher than that. Like, it was like, all right, what's the highest job I can do? Like, all right, cool, president, you know? And to a certain extent, like, it was something that I wanted to do, right? Like, it probably wasn't up until I got to college, maybe I was like a senior in high school, where I started considering more like the process of becoming president.
So this stuck with you?
Yeah, this stuck with me. This was like, you know, and I started thinking more about, well, okay, you actually have to start in politics at a much smaller standpoint. You know, most of like probably community organizing, then go up to state senator, state representative, things like that. And as discourse, I think, got worse, especially online, it became more of like do I actually want to go through the, you know, the vitriol and the, you know, all the stuff you have to go through to get to that point, you know? And then at the same time, like, why actually do I want to be president? And I think the biggest thing was, you know, being able to have an effect on human progress, right? And like, you know, hopefully point us in the right direction, right? And, you know, kind of adjacent to that is like, could you do business, right? So like the Mark Cubans of the world, right? The Bill Gates is like, you know, the people who can affect change without getting it voted in, right? Without going through the vitriol of like trying to get there, right? And so that started speaking more to me of like, oh, hey, well, actually, maybe you can do that, you know, through other means. Especially from an entertainment lens, can you actually create, you know, movies, film, TV, all that stuff that can actually like push people, that kind of opens their eyes to different things, right? And so gaming kind of was like the first foray into that space, into entertainment at large. And so that's kind of where it came from. Plus, like, you know, as somebody who played games, played League of Legends, all that good stuff. Right. So that was really the thing. And so now that I've kind of stepped away full time from, you know, being in gaming, it's kind of like got me back to that point of like realizing, yeah, I mean, gaming really wasn't like the thing of like, it was always going to be the stepping stone of like the, kind of vehicle to get there.
Yeah.
So
no, I was just curious, bro. It's fun. I didn't know the president story. You said like representatives last week. We met with U.S. Representative Jimmy Gomez, Democrat here in L.A.
Yeah.
It was specifically about how he's trying to leverage and help pass legislature to empower content creators, influencers, leveraging gaming to like literally, to your point, like progress democracy. Right. So it was like really cool to be a part of that conversation. And to your point, I think my why was always like I wanted to have or leave like an extreme impact while helping as many people as we possibly could. And I knew that gaming's online, so there's technically infinite scale, right? There's not infinite resources, but there's infinite possibilities. And I think even when we first met, that Tech for COVID program cemented that like the concept is real. You could literally leverage creators, gaming, and platform to change human thought, right? And to also financially help those who may not be in position to help themselves. And I think just full circle, that idea of learning to love the hand that fate deals you recently has been super like validating in this entire process, because as I mentioned, 23, 24, things got a little wobbly, and you were like, yo, is what we're planning to do, is it not working? Is it wrong? Do we doing the wrong strategies? Like, nah, bro, it's just a part of what fate has happened. And each step, no matter how high or high low, has gotten us to this next point. And so like, yeah, bro, just learning to adjust. And really, I think LA is helping, not because LA is just so great, but literally is because this is a new environment. It's allowing me to like readdress challenges within myself, correct them, like deploy them on like test people, right? That may not know some of the things that are happening or some of the challenges that one was facing. So like, bro, it's been great. It's been great being out here, bro. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I either read or heard somewhere was like, just moving to a different environment changes how you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? Because you have to go to a new cabinet, new fridge, new spot. You get into the same patterns in the same place because you know where everything is, right? Things aren't changing. And so like, because that very basic routine of just making peanut butter and jelly is so different now, that you can kind of reassess how you're thinking about things.
Bro, I swear on my life, I've been making my toast and peanut butter and jelly different. Yeah. I'm not even, bro, I'm not swearing. But I'm going to tell you what, on Tuesdays, we go to the farmer's market in Culver, and this lady be selling like homemade special jelly.
Okay, yeah.
Bro, so like I started to get the jelly different. Yeah. I used to just put it in the toaster. Now I use like butter in the pan.
Okay, yeah.
I'll be doing it on top of the stove. I'll be using the special. I'm not like, bro, like it's so crazy.
It's true.
Bro, it's quite literally the truth on Community. I'm lying.
Right. Yeah.
No, like literally, I'm making like
on Community is crazy.
On Community, I'm lying, bro. I'll be making my toast different since the last 3-4 weeks.
All right, so it's proven true, right? Like, so that's obviously, I think it's a cool thing. And, as a city, I think LA, the one thing it does have is, I think, that reinvention in like just, it's so much because it's so big, it's because there's so many different things happening that I think it just like offers that a ton. And I think probably the other side of it is just like people doing things and like the fact there is opportunity everywhere. There's a lot of people like building who are bettering themselves, right? Like when I compare, say, just Austin and LA, like, Austin has in its favor that everyone like is trying to like go outside, right? I think almost anyone else would agree with me that everyone is literally trying to like go to the park, go to the lake, go to the coffee shop, go to the brewery, go out, go to like everyone's trying to go out and like make friends, all that good stuff. So like I think that's what Austin has going for it. And I think for LA, still does that to a certain extent, but like a big thing is just like everyone's doing stuff, right?
Literally put up today, there's an F1 car outside.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, what?
Yeah.
It's like those little nuances you just don't catch. All that. It's just like $1 million.
I mean, you missed the dude who's in here. He was trying to become an Olympian.
Like, I think I saw him. I think I seen him like we was coming.
Yeah, light skin with the dress.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played in NFL. Played for the Lions and the Packers, and now he's He's trying to join bobsled.
He's trying for real.
Yeah.
That's smooth.
Yeah. And we were talking like, because beach handball plays down there at Hermosa Beach.
This was from the event earlier.
He showed up after. He was just trying to get a job here.
Oh, tough.
Yeah.
Tough. I'm putting my man business out there. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just shout out to him. You know, like I didn't name any names.
Yo, facts. Yeah, that's facts.
But like,
we see a light skinned dreadhead with in bobsled. Like, yo, that's the guy.
Yeah, that's him.
That's the guy.
But you know, just like that happening. You know, again, it's just like someone trying to be in the Olympics, which I think almost anywhere else that like if someone said they'd be like, oh, you're trying to be in the Olympics, like, what do you think? Like,
right.
Like you're arrogant enough to think you could be in the Olympics, but like, with not training, you can, right?
Yeah, and then be like, in a market where things are happening, like, yo, I hope it works out for you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, I actually believe you because there's other people in my vicinity that are also trying to do highly exceptional things.
Right.
As
Exactly.
well.
100%.
Highly exceptional.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else? What we got? Anything else to look forward to? Did we miss? Yo,
I mean, go ahead.
You talk about people. You saying like you said, Bill Gates, impactful people.
Yeah.
You saw today he's giving away 99% of his wealth.
Yeah.
Before he dies, like I think it's like before he wants to do it by like 2059.
And this is exactly what I want to see from billionaires. What we have been getting, like 1920, like how many Carnegie libraries and halls do we have?
Right.
Right. Like, and I forgot who else like built one of the telescopes out here at Mount Wilson. Right. They built all these things, and billionaires today are not doing that, and they need to get back to building stuff for society so that we don't come after them.
So we don't come after them.
That's what happened before.
With our virtual voices and hashtags.
But billionaires used to build things for society. They need to start doing that again.
No, you're not wrong. Like literally, like infrastructure, railroads, and like universities.
Right. Where's the Cuban University?
Yeah, where's Elon Musk School of Art?
Even if I don't care what you're teaching there, just build a university.
Yeah, like just call it. Like, I don't care who's gonna like just create a facility that allows people to better themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or a telescope. Like it'd be cool if we got a telescope. That'd be sick.
I mean,
or a perpetual clock. Like I don't know what it is. Just build something.
Yeah, just something for the people.
But
anyway, look. So we'll be back next week. Dalmar got an important meeting he got to get to, so we actually recorded.
A little luncheon.
Yeah, we actually recorded 45 minutes earlier today, so he can hit his spot.
I'll say for Carvettes though, based on what you were talking about just a second ago, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Okay,
great book. It's about
Man's Search for Meaning.
Man's Search for Meaning.
Okay,
about a Holocaust survivor's experience in. I can't remember if he was in death camp or not, or just a concentration camp. But if you think about that perspective, like you are living in a concentration camp with no expectation of getting out. How do you find meaning to wake up the next day, right?
Well, that's very daunting.
Yeah, and to see him and the rest of people who were able to do those things, it kind of opens your perspective of like okay, like if somebody in that space could do it, obviously there's
hopefully not an ignorant question. I honestly don't know. How did you survive a concentration camp, or were you just like far enough back in line that like the war ended and you're a survivor? Or like where did something else happen that like that made them survivors? I think
it's that number one, the war, and then also a lot of them weren't death camps, they were just work camps.
Oh, okay.
People still die, but it wasn't like it was systematic like executions. It was like they're working on building war material and things like that. So,
I see. Like certain people just had like tasks,
right?
Like they were working, like they're basically slaves to the Germans, and like they were actually working.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you know if there was? Bro, let's talk about that later. I'm just curious. Like, was there a distinction of those who work? And the reason I'm asking about this, bro, it's like you live in my head sometimes. A show, free plug. We're supposed to be off the podcast. Now we gotta go real quick. The Righteous Gemstones. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it. Yeah,
bro, it is phenomenal, bro. Watch it. It's on HBO.
Okay.
We watched like seasons 1 through 4. Like the last 2 weeks is hilarious.
Okay. Yeah,
but spoiler alert. I guess I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Whatever. If y'all haven't seen the season 4, spoiler alert. Close your ears.
Yeah.
Cancel the show. I don't know what y'all need to do.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of the show is about this family. It's about a mega church family, right?
Right.
So this family's super rich. The father's the head pastor. He has 3 kids that are like knuckleheads. And this is what the show's about. But in the second to last episode, they do like a flashback to like the grandfather, like the dad's dad that like started preaching and pastoring, right?
Yeah.
So it turns out he was actually like a scammer and a cheat, and he ended up killing a pastor. And when they came, this is like the early like 1900, whatever it was, right? They came to like, yo, who are you? And he pretended to be the dude he just killed, who was the pastor. So long story short, he gets brought to war to be the chaplain for like the Civil War. And so like, he's like, has to pray for guys as they're dying. He don't want to pray for nobody because he's not even religious, whatever.
Right.
Fast forward, talk about survivors. They got captured. He was on the firing squad. They found the Bible on him. And they're like, yo, because we don't kill like working people in working clothes. Like they let him go. And that's like the backstory of how the gemstones became like this.
Wow.
But my point is like there was a distinguishing factor that allowed him to kind of like leave. I'm just curious, as you talk about these jobs or tasks or however you describe them, like were these special people in society that were separated from those that unfortunately didn't have that?
Yeah, I believe he was a doctor. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was a doctor, and it would be those specialized jobs that probably the shoemakers and those people who could do things now had a role to play in the camp
in society.
Right.
I got you.
And so then, if you didn't have that, then unfortunately you were more likely to, be pushed towards the death camps. But I mentioned that I have that book because it's kind of like one of the bases of lost stoicism. Reminder that I have Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I need to finish reading it. And yeah, my actual car bet though would be Andor. On Disney Plus.
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen season 1 or 2?
Nah. Is it good?
To me, it is the very best live action Star Wars media that's ever been put out. It's better than Empire Strikes Back. If you took the Star Wars out of this show, it would still be an amazing show.
Gotcha.
The level of culture they put in the show, the feeling of being immersed and being on the ground, right? That you could feel like you are in that city. You're not like moved from it.
Right.
Is like palpable. Like seeing a stormtrooper is actually kind of scary. It's well crafted. You should watch it. Everybody should watch it. That's my car.
Got you. Book plug real quick. Since you did a book plug.
Yeah.
It's a foreword I'm reading right now from Coretta Scott King about her husband, Martin Luther King Jr. It's called Where Do We Go From Here? Community or Chaos? Or Chaos and Community. I'm not sure the order of it. But it's really interesting, bro. Just this whole idea of like, because I think it's a great question. Like, it's a very relevant question for like right now in today's society. Yeah. So that's just been really interesting. Just again talking about his life and everything there. But Dalmar, bro, you got to go for real. We gotta get out here. So thank y'all as always. Tune in. We'll see y'all in the coming weeks. But we out.
Peace.